already started with that little intro, but that's okay. This is the main part that really matters. So we're going to start recording this, and that way anybody who wasn't able to join us live will be able to come and watch and learn all about what the good old biology department has to offer for us. So Nikki Seagraves, Dr. Seagraves, I believe, will be taking it over from here. So I have your share screen available and you are ready to go.
Okay, so I'm Dr. Seagraves and I am in my 8th year of teaching here at UCO. And I'm here representing the biology department, and I'm also the retention and recruitment chair for our department. And so I am kind of in charge of keeping our students and finding out why they like UCO so much and why they like biology. And then also helping students make it through. We do advisement sessions as well. So we also have Dr. Jackson. Dr. Vicki Jackson is here. She's on our committee, and so is Dr. Chris Goodchild. And he's new, and Dr. Jackson has been around for a while, and I'm a kind of bench lab scientist and do kind of cell molecular things. And Dr. Jackson can talk to you about what she does, but we're kind of polar opposites, but we both have a passion for helping and mentoring students. And I have my research assistant, Michaela Vance, is here, and she's a new junior at UCO. She's an excellent student, and she was actually referred to me by Dr. Jackson. So we both have the honor of mentoring and teaching her. So basically, I thought we would introduce all ourselves today, and so you kind of can see faces, although my camera went haywire, so you can't see my real face, but see faces so that if you are interested in biology, that you have a name and a face and someone to contact. So if everybody wants to introduce themselves, and then I will share my screen and show you kind of our little presentation, which is supposed to be informal. So if you have questions, you can ask during it as well.
Oh, I can start. I'm Vicki Jackson. I'm a certified wildlife biologist. I teach our freshman level diversity class, diversity of life, and I teach mammalogy, wildlife ecology, and management. So most of my students are conducting research on animal behavior, animal welfare, or conservation of natural resources. And primarily my students and I work with mammals. And primarily we work with carnivores, so big cats and bears and skunks and all those sorts of really neat animals.
Great, I'll go next. I'm Dr. Chris Goodchild. It's my first semester here at UCO, but I'm really excited to be here. Right now I'm teaching human anatomy, and that's been fantastic. And my research is looking at avian physiology and avian toxicology. And I'll just say one of the reasons that I am particularly excited to be at UCO is because there's just enormous departmental and college level and institution level support for undergraduate engagement and research. So I'm excited to hear from the students, but that's one of the reasons that I'm particularly excited to be here at UCO.
Okay, I guess I'll go next. So I'm Michaela Vance. I'm a junior here at UCO studying biomedical science. Like Dr. Seagraves said, I work under Dr. Seagraves studying stem cell and MPKU and avian models, and then stem cell research is my specific area. But I started here with Dr. Seagraves after my sophomore year, so my sophomore summer. And I've been continuing, it was my after my freshman year, so my freshman summer. I've been continuing research since then, so I've been here for about a year and a half. I've loved it. I love how UCO kind of pushes students into research at a young age, because I feel like I've gotten a lot more hands-on experience than I guess I would have. So I really like that about the UCO biology department. Thank you.
So I'm Bryant. I'm one of the career development specialists at the Career Development Center. And we work with all the different departments at UCO, and love the biology department as well. And just a little tidbit about what we do in our office. We make sure that we line up students with the right majors if they're in the career exploration, major exploration process of their life. Once they start looking for internships and different part-time jobs and whatnot, we'll help them with the search process there. We'll help them get their resume or their CV up to date and ready to be submitted, or if they have any cover letters of that nature. And if they're planning on going forward to grad school afterwards, then we're going to help them, search for good grad schools that are going to fit their needs and make sure that they're doing everything they can to prepare for it. So we're here from start to finish, as long as for as much as they want us.
I'm Sarah Moore. I also work in the Career Development Center. I've been at UCO for a little over 7 years now. I started in College of Ed and then moved over to Career Development and kind of moved my way up. I'm a Career Development Specialist now. I too was a biology major once. They changed. So I think one of my favorite things is I still really love everything about biology, just wasn't where I ended. And I think that happens a lot. And so I think that's one of the cool things about how career development can play with the sciences. We lose faith right away. I think now, looking back at my own career, I could have probably stuck with it. I just didn't quite have the language around what I needed to study appropriately. And so some of those conversations, especially for certain populations, are more valuable than others. And so being able to talk about those things, being able to introduce the idea about pivoting. So if science isn't, that doctor degree isn't going to happen, what then happens next? And how can you still serve and use your science? There's a lot of students that come in, they really want to do that art thing, but they also want to do the science thing, and they just can't quite figure out how to do both. And the truth of the matter is, we learn a lot by pictures. So if we had more artists in the field, we'd have a lot more people reading science. So we need to kind of encourage creative thinking. We need to be encouraging how these challenging words can also be served into broader audiences. We need to be normalizing a lot of the process. So that's kind of how I fit into the picture.
So you want me to start the presentation?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay. Okay, so you see the full slide? Cool. Okay, I don't use Zoom ever, so I always use WebEx. All right, and it started at the end. So about our biology program here at UCO. So we do have an online presence. Our website has lots of information. It's sometimes hard to navigate, but it's there. So searching around, you can find information about what all our faculty do. Dr. Jackson and Dr. Goodchild talked a little bit about what they do, but we have lots of different people doing lots of different things in our department. So our students can be interested in plants or ecology. They can be interested in animals and animal behavior. They can be interested in molecular biology, cancer. We have all different options there. So lots of information on our website. We have a Facebook and a Twitter we're trying to revive. So you can follow us there. So the department has 4 majors. One is the Bachelor of Science in Biology, which is only slightly different from our Bachelor of Science in Biomedical Sciences. And so the degree requirements are very similar. However, typically the major difference is the career path. So if a student's interested in a field biology, going to graduate school, plants, ecology, they may choose the biology major over the biomedical science. Whereas if a student is interested in going on to a professional school, medical school, or interested in a biomedical graduate program, they would choose the biomedical science. And then we also have a really cool opportunity in our department because our science education major for teaching biology in high school or middle school has our own biology faculty will be your advisor. So you're not coming out of just a College of Ed, you're actually coming out of the biology department. So you get the biology education as well as the great education courses in our education college. And then we have a more technical degree called the medical laboratory science. And this is a cool program that offers internships in your last year to work in a hospital lab. And then it has a certification test. This is a really cool program. So why UCO? So we have undergraduate education and training focus. So Chris is new, Dr. Goodchild's new, and so that was one of the things he mentioned, is that we're interested in getting our undergrads involved. And so we do this by having small class sizes. This is a hallmark of UCO in general. So we have our core courses, which are the lower level courses, can have about 45 or less students, but our upper division courses sometimes have much fewer, so maybe even 20, 15 in the course. And so you get more one-on-one teaching in those courses. And then our lab courses are also small. So the smallest or the largest class is 28 students. Some of them are 24, even down to the teens. And so the students get one-on-one training. They also get to use equipment. So when I was an undergrad, we didn't get to touch things. But here at UCO, we have our students actually using a lot of the equipment. And so I tell my students who take our cell biology lab that they can actually get a job based on the skills that they learn in the lab. And typically you're going to be taught by a professor. So you may have a TA, but that TA is usually just assisting the professor. And so we have our faculty are in the classroom with you and you're learning directly from them. And most of our faculties have PhDs in the relevant field, or they have a master's level education. And so they're accessible. Many of us have an open door policy, or now you can schedule a meeting with us, however, virtual or whatever. And you can learn about research opportunities and get like letters of recommendation depending on how close you are to that faculty member. So we have scholarships and tuition waivers. So when you come into the university, you work with financial aid office for the freshman scholarships, but we have need-based and merit-based scholarships and tuition waivers in our department. Now, UCO is also all about transformative learning, which means basically becoming a well-rounded individual, not just in education, but in all the things that you do. And so we do this through our clubs. And so in the department, we have lots of different opportunities. So we have, if you like wildlife, Dr. Jackson's amazing, and she does our Wildlife Society. If you're just interested in biology and you want to be part of an honor society, I'm advisor for the Tri Beta Biology Club. We have a pre-med and health professions, dental, horticulture, pre-vet. We've got all kinds of opportunities. And with these comes volunteer opportunities, socializing opportunities, lots of different ways to interact. Our college also has a really great program called the Summer Bridge. And this is a program for incoming students, and it works through the college, and you are matched with a mentor. It may not be in our biology department, although we have lots of active people through the department. But this is your first chance at actually getting into an opportunity to do research with one of our faculty. And so if students are interested in that, if you're coming into the university new, you can apply. That comes up in the spring, and it's for a summer opportunity. But the opportunities that occur now are, again, search the website, because you'll find out what the different investigators are interested in doing. And then ask faculty members if they're taking students. So many of us are approachable. If not, send an email, and then be persistent. I tell my students, the more you drive me crazy, the more I'm going to respond to you. So come by their office and send them emails, tell them you're interested, read their papers, read up what they're doing. If you have a true and honest interest in what the faculty member is doing and you stay passionate and persistent about it, then the opportunities will are more attainable, I would say. Some of these are paid positions. So a lot of them are volunteer, but some are paid. And so there are grants that are granted to faculty members, but there are also student grants. And so on campus, you could apply for different student grants. So these are just pictures of some field work. This is Dr. King. He works on dendrochronology, which is really cool. He ages trees by looking at tree rings, and then he can also analyze different things with ecology, like temperature and rain and fire and all kinds of stuff. And then these are pictures of lab work. This is my lab working on, we work on chicken embryos and we do cell culture. Dr. Vaughn works on wound healing. Here's some more pictures. So we actually have this really cool Selman Living Lab, which is managed through the department, where it's out in northwestern Oklahoma. So a couple of these pictures are taken there, where we have field sites for people to go out and do really cool research on snakes and plants and pollinators and insects and all kinds of stuff. And then we have a really cool museum. We have tons of different specimens. And then at the top here is a picture of one lab who's actually looking for mud turtles in New Mexico. And this lab has been going, this is Dr. Stone's group. He's been going there for many, many years. And then down here in the very bottom corner, you see a big fish or dolphin or something. Vicki, do you want to talk about that opportunity?
Sure. So one of the really cool things about UCO is we have a world-renowned Forensic Science Institute. And the faculty who serve in our institute are cross-appointed in biology, chemistry, and criminal justice. And so Dr. Lord and I take a group of students to Appledore Island, which is off the coast of Maine, for a little over a week in the summertime. And while we are there, we study marine wildlife forensic science. And a lot of different components of that, which include crime scene investigation, it includes marine biology and ecology. We perform necropsies on dolphins, porpoises, seals, sea turtles. We collect data, we analyze data, no prerequisites. So we have a number of different types of students who come and join us, from really heavy forensic science interest to really heavy biology interest to just interested in going to Maine and studying whales and dolphins and sea turtles and stuff. So it's been a really, really great experience. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to run a class out this summer as well. And that is through the Study Abroad office.
Okay, so as part of research, a lot of times you're able to travel and present research. So we have our own Oklahoma Research Day, where students travel somewhere in the state to present what they've been doing throughout the year. If you are awarded a research grant, on-campus research grant, that's part of your requirements, is to present your research. But we've had students go nationally, so to different states, and internationally as well. So there's lots of different opportunities, and not only does presenting your research get you out there and get the information out, but it also helps with your communication skills and interacting with the public, because as we were talking earlier, that biology sometimes students end up here and then they're not sure about how it can be involved in their life. But we all have some kind of medical decision that we're going to have to make about ourselves or our family, or a political decision that we need to have some kind of biological information to make that decision. And so being able to communicate science and understand science is good for all aspects of your life. All right. So, and then as part of the travel, a lot of times you don't just do the science part, we also have the social part. So these are different pictures of doing different things in different states, Boston and Portland and all kinds of places. So doing biology and doing research can enrich your life in many ways. Now, something that's really cool is that if you are doing research, or even if you're not doing research and you're interested, you can have opportunities nationwide and worldwide to get into an opportunity to work with people even bigger than UCO. So these are a couple of students that worked in the EMBRE program, which is a statewide program, Oklahoma EMBRE, and so they presented their research. And then one of my students, she actually got into the Pasteur Institute to do research in Paris, and she's now in medical school. And then this is another summer program that was in Cincinnati. So there's lots of opportunities that research can bring about. And then biology has lots of internships and seasonal experiences as well. So our department is continually adding to this list. We're trying to make connections with the Oklahoma community, Oklahoma City metro area, to try to find companies that can use the skills that you're learning in your classes, and also kind of market us as well. So some of these, Cytovance, Emmy, Coop, Aleworks, so brewing beer also involves biology. So there's lots of places in your life that biology can kind of peek its way in. And then one really great thing about our department is we have a health professions advisor. This is Dr. Bentley. She is trained, continues to train. She goes to all kinds of events. She meets with the boards of all kinds of different professional organizations to figure out what our students need to be doing to be successful in any programs that they're interested in. And so you can schedule meetings with her directly to get information about any of those programs, or kind of what classes you should be taking or anything. And then in our department, we have our chair is Dr. Vaughn. He's the interim department chair. We have a freshman advisor for biology. So if the student hasn't started yet, they'll work through freshman advising. And then we have an academic advisor, Carly. And then Dr. Bentley and Dr. Allen is our education advisor. And we have two great admin assistants that if you don't know where to go or who to talk to, if you contact them, they can send you to the correct person. So that's all I have for a formal presentation. And then we can take questions, or if anybody has any other fun facts you can share.
That's great. That's great. Awesome. So what kind of, or I guess, how many students do you think go through the biology department in a given, I guess, 4-year stint or however long? How many students do you think are enrolled and graduate from the biology department?
Vicki, do you know hard numbers? I'm thinking we have approximately 150 a year.
Graduate?
Yes.
I know our program is the second largest program in the College of Math and Science. We're second only to nursing. And the total number of students we have kind of ranges in between 800 and 900. So we have a lot of students. They don't necessarily matriculate, from here. We have some students who start here and then transfer out, and we have some lovely transfer students who start somewhere else and then transfer in. But yeah, I think you're right, Dr. Seagraves. It should be, probably 100 to 200 a year. It's kind of hard to tell because we have the fall graduation and spring graduation and
yeah, the numbers fluctuate, but yeah, we have a large enrollment, and you guys are in career, so people change their minds a lot. So we have movement in and out a lot.
Yeah, that's fair. Very cool. I'm trying to think of questions that students might be thinking or thinking to themselves, or might come and ask you guys later, which they're always welcome to. But since we're recording this, I'm going to make this available on like YouTube and any other social medias. Trying to think of some questions that they might think of. One off the top of my head is, if they are interested in the forensics biology type of combination, how would that affect their course load and potential time to graduate, if you know that?
I think the idea of starting and being done in 4 years is not realistic, especially given the lives of most of our students trying to balance full-time work, full-time family, full-time school, plus undergraduate research. I mean, it's a lot. And so even if you are just a single major, I think you should consider a 5-year program. If you're a double major, which forensic science biology, or a lot of our students are double major in biology chem, super, super great opportunity, opens lots of doors. But again, it's going to take you longer to get through it well. you can rush yourself and you could probably finish it in 4 years, but your ability to earn the good grades and get all the good out of class activities and experiences, that's going to really be compromised. So 5 year, 6 year, we're happy for them to stay as long as they need to stay to get everything that they need from us. And then they can be more successful when they leave.
Very cool.
I would add the summer, like, when you're talking double majoring and you're talking time intensive courses, don't be thinking about taking your summer off. I mean, keep that brain moving because it'll just continue to grow. There will be time for breaks. There will be time for, I don't want to say rest because you have to stay balanced, but there are times outside of college that provide space for that. With these lab intensive ones, with these fields that encourage multiple experiences, utilize those summers and keep that brain moving.
So in light of the pandemic and everything that's happening in this world, for any students that might be interested in coming in this coming spring, are there any major changes to the department and how you're able to have, not only the lecture experience, but the lab specifically experience? Is there anything that new students should be aware of in light of everything that's happening?
So I can speak for what we're doing this semester. So I teach a cell biology lab, which is part of our core curriculum. And we are basically splitting the group in half to allow for more social distancing. We've increased the personal protective equipment. So students are wearing masks as well as a face shield. And then we're basically rotating every other week so that we have half the amount of students in the room at any given time. And we're communicating well. So we post things. We have an online learner management system. So I keep in close contact with my students to make sure they know kind of who's doing what and when. And then, so we're giving the same experience, I would say, but it's just condensed a little bit. We've cut out a couple of things that we could do that didn't require face-to-face and put those where they could be online. And then trying to do all the face-to-face things that we would do in any normal given semester. So Dr. Jackson can probably speak for the Bio 2 and our intro course.
Yeah, so our 1204 course is a Principles of Biology. That's a freshman level course a lot of people start with, or they'll start with 1225, Diversity of Life. Diversity of Life does have a lab, and so we actually, all of the faculty, except for the one person who teaches online, decided to split our classes in half. So our lectures are half face-to-face, half online, and they're either 2 days a week or 4 days a week. So we see everybody at least once or twice a week. And then you're either in the early lab or the late lab. So we've condensed our expectations down quite a bit, moved a lot of the material online, and made sure that there was time to complete experiments and dissections and the types of things that you really have to do in lab in the hour and a half that they're in lab. I think it's going reasonably well. I think our students wish they were there all the time, just like we wish we were there all the time. And I wish that people didn't have to go in quarantine. But I think that everybody is trying their hardest to make sure that everybody is as safe and healthy and getting the education that they need out of it. I do know our 1204 classes, because they are lecture courses, there are some sections that have an online component, but faculty are teaching them from home. So really, even if you're on campus, it's still an online class because your faculty's not there. There are some sections where the faculty are on campus and 3/4 of the class are on campus and 1/4 is off campus. So that class, there's quite a bit more variability. But what I would tell people, if they're thinking about coming to campus, reach out to the faculty and ask them how they teach their class. We all know how we're going to handle it in the spring, so we know if we're going to be half to half or 3/4, 1/4, or whatever we're going to do. And we are quite frankly used to fielding those questions right now. So it's not a problem at all to reach out and get some clarification of the expectations.
I also think that I can like speak on this from a student perspective as well. So a lot of people get worried when they hear online or half the class is online. And I was worried, I was in that same boat too. I was worried when the semester started, but I'm actually in organic chemistry online, which sounds really scary to a lot of people, but I think, at least in my experience, my professors have done a great job of being accessible to the students that are online as well as in person. I know in class I can still ask questions, like it's just like I'm in the in-person section, and a lot of our professors are becoming more accessible outside of class too because of the COVID pandemic. So like, for example, my organic chemistry class, our professor holds extra like study sessions outside of class at different times so that us people that are online can ask extra questions and get more experience with the material. So I think it's actually been better than I expected it to be. And it's also nice for some students who are in person and say they can't make it to a class, they still have accessibility to the class by joining online. So I think it's actually increased accessibility for students. So thank you.
I don't have a lot to add, but I was just going to say one cool thing is this, there's been like the classes have been flexible, but also a lot of the student societies have also been flexible. So you have a lot, like the Wildlife Society is still meeting regularly, and they have some folks that are attending in person, but they're also putting all their stuff on Zoom. So a lot of the community that we feel in a normal semester, we're still able to maintain. It just feels a little different. So I was just going to add that a lot of the student-driven societies are also doing hybrid models.
Awesome. Very cool. So next question that I was kind of thinking of is, if there's a student coming in either as from senior year of high school as an incoming freshman, or potential transfer student currently enrolled, just looking at getting into the biology department, are there any prerequisite courses or any requirements that they should be aware of to make sure they're going to have an easy transition?
So I think there's a lot to say with this. There's mixed advice about what students should do, and I want Michaela to talk about this also later, and also Dr. Jackson. But in my opinion, students need to get started with their major as soon as possible. And biology is kind of married to chemistry, so there's quite a few chemistry courses you have to take, and they serve as prerequisites for the biology courses. So you need to get into biology and chemistry early on, which is hard. And I think a lot of transfer students and a lot of students that come in a little bit later in their career, you are faced with having all of your gen eds already taken, and then you're slammed with a bunch of really heavy biology and chemistry courses. And so Michaela can talk about how she's done her schedule, but it's really good to get started in bio and chemistry, but kind of be consistent about taking a couple of biochemistry courses this semester, and then also a gen ed, and not loading up your gen eds when you first start.
Yeah, so like what Dr. Seegers is saying, what I did my freshman year was I definitely took the Bio 1 course, the intro course, to make sure, that this is what I wanted to do, because the first intro course kind of gives you a sample of all things biology. But as I focused in on like later semesters, I would make sure I would take like 2 or 3 biology courses and then make sure I had some prerequisite. I hear a lot of students say, oh, I'm going to take all of my prereqs first and then I'll get into my major courses. That's not really what you do as a biology major here at UCO. You want to get into your biology classes as early as possible, and then make sure you kind of save your prereq courses so that you can take them alongside your major courses and not be overwhelmed.
I will say I have a slightly different type of biology degree than what we offer at UCO, because I have a BS in wildlife and fisheries sciences. So I never took a cell biology class, and I never took a microbiology class. And, some of the classes we offer as part of our biology career And most of my friends and I really struggled with chemistry. Science education in some places is not very strong. And a lot of our students come in, and the last time they thought about biology was their freshman year in high school. And then they took chemistry their sophomore year in high school, and then junior, senior, no science at all. So there is nothing wrong with taking it slow your first semester here, especially if you feel like you might be at a disadvantage getting started out. Science, chemistry, biology, and math, super important to get started with, because you're going to be taking those classes pretty much every semester as you go along. And if something doesn't work out really well for you one semester, no shame in taking a class twice. We have a lot of students who, for whatever reason, struggle in their freshman year, whether it's the first semester or second semester, with time management or not having the skills or the knowledge to set them up for success or whatever it is. Don't let a bad semester convince you that you can't do it and that you're not a scientist. Because I don't know any scientist who hasn't had at least one bad semester and wanted to give it all up and go work at the mall, which I did, quite frankly, several times in my life, and then got back on the horse and gave it another try. So, just don't worry about that. And if our incoming students have questions, the biology faculty are here. We have good academic advisors. We've got great people in career services. We also have really good faculty who really, really care about the success of our students and are more than happy to meet virtually, meet face-to-face, answer emails, whatever it's going to take. And there are no stupid questions. There's nothing that anybody ever asks me that I haven't heard before in some venue. Whether it was a question I had myself or one of my students or one of my colleagues. So don't ever feel bad about shooting an email. And if you don't know anybody's email address and you just find somebody in biology, if we don't know the answer, we'll send it to somebody who does. So just reach out to us when you need some help.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Dr. Jackson said, and also say I have kind of a real world example of that happening. So my student, who just is at Tufts University Medical School in Boston, actually started out as a criminal justice major and took a general biology class. And she was like, hey, I like biology. And then she ended up doing research, becoming a biomedical science, going to an Ivy League medical school. So you don't have to jump in 2 feet first. You can take your time. I mean, you start out in gen bio and you figure out that it's interesting and you come to biology in that way. That's awesome. So one of my greatest students came that way. So, and we're also very open. There's quite a few of us. If you can't find somebody like Dr. Jackson said that will respond to you, just email Retention Recruitment Committee. All of us are on this committee because we have a passion for helping students. So there's 3 of us here today. And then Dr. Bentley and Dr. Brent Cassidy is also on the committee.
Very cool. That was going to lead into my next question. You just answered it. My next question was just, if someone was interested right now, who do they talk to? How do they get a hold of you guys? And I think he just went over that. So I think that's fantastic. I'm going to open it up for any other last remarks or questions or comments from anybody else before we work on wrapping this up.
So students are welcome to reach out to any of us, but if they want to reach out to somebody who specifically knows what they're interested in, if they go to the UCO biology website, all the faculty are listed and all their research interests are listed. And so, if you wanted to study cancer and you reached out to me, I wouldn't know how to answer your questions. I would know who to put you in touch with. Just like if you wanted to study skunks and wildlife and natural resources, you probably wouldn't reach out to Dr. Seagraves. Again, she knows who to send you to. So if you do, that's not that big a deal. But if you just want to go straight to the right person, I would definitely take a look at our faculty website. And you'd be surprised at the diversity of faculty we have in our department, studying anything you could possibly think of as far as biology goes.
And then something else I want to say about student success is connecting is one big thing. And so if you're connected to UCO, join a club, talk with a professor. Some connection is going to help you. So, and asking questions and finding resources. These are all things to be successful. And biology curriculum is hard. And so in our college, we have lots of different resources. We have tutoring, we have supplemental instructors, you know, our professors sometimes, like Michaela was saying, will have extra sessions. So many of us are here to help. And if we don't have the capability to help you, we'll find somebody that can.
I have an amazing ability to always start talking, and then Dr. Goodchild will say something. So I was trying to see if he wanted to say anything. I really appreciated his comment about getting involved with student groups and how student groups are pivoting with the times just as much as everybody else. I think that's incredibly important. I think it's important a lot of times when we talk about success and longevity, we need to make sure that our friends are thinking about the things that we're thinking about. Yes, you also need to have a diverse group of friends for like overall wholeness, but if your friends aren't being excited by the things that you're excited about, you often will feel alone in a world full of people. And so we need to be able to get the courage to find other people that are thinking like us. And that may mean, I think if anything that the pandemic has taught us is that we have to have somebody that speaks language. We have to have somebody that's in the science. We have to have somebody that can translate both worlds so people can understand what we're doing and what we're working on. We have to probably find a lawyer friend. You know, you got to start thinking about your teams in the way in which, how do we want to move our cause, our studies, our solutions forward? And so who can we add? And most of those individuals are probably on your campus. They're in your friend group. And so kind of playing around with that within your own friend group and dreaming about solutions that you can work through together, coming up with student projects, student questions, research questions. A lot of the faculty in this department are also really awesome at working with other faculty in another department. So when you come up with your ideas, they're not silly, they're not stupid, they're just going to be a little bit more creative. And the other thing about this program that I particularly always love, they are always trying to rebuild it. How can we navigate with the times? How can we make sure that the way in which our students are unfolding their careers are successful and are going to stay with it? So they're thinking about this too. And that means you can then think about it as you navigate your career as well. So that part-time work, Dr. Jackson said, you know, go to the mall and go work. I really would much rather you go find a job on campus. I would much rather you go to your dean's office and introduce yourself to the dean's secretary and say, hey, there's something open in this building, I want to be here. Your college is lucky because it has 2 buildings, which means double the opportunities. It allows you to then get paid and stay in the building in which the work that you want to do is getting done. And that is also an incredible opportunity when you get to think about all the conversations you get to listen to. And so the more you learn about how people are thinking about the work that is being done, the more you learn about how to navigate the system. And that means that you'll be more comfortable. That means that you'll be able to find success faster, and you'll be able to build those dollars, right? You got to start with 1 to get 2. You got to have 2 to get 4. And you also build confidence then to ask for that $6, that $8. So that's where I would start. Also think about I love that Michaela started in the lab like right after her freshman year. I love that she was able to start conversations. There are cool things, you know, if you want to go have fun for a summer, do it, but also try and figure out a way that you can ask for it, where you get paid, where you get experience in building those dollars, for that overall balance. That is all that I would add. I think it's incredible.
Very good. Anybody else? Awesome. Okay, very cool. Well, I think we had a wonderful session here. Great information for anybody who's interested. You know, again, touch base with about the biology department website on uco.edu and search for the biology department. Got lots of information there. You can also go to careers.uco.edu. We have a ton of resources if you're trying to choose your major and interested in wanting to talk with us about it, about your life after school, then we are more than happy to help with that as well. So a lot of resources for you. Thank you, Dr. Seagraves, Dr. Jackson, Dr. Goodchild. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Michaela. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And we will go ahead and close this out for today. Y'all have a great day.